So the label on this Dollar Tree wall vase was a bit tricky to remove. I saturated the label with Goo Gone several times, and I ended up using a scraper to remove most of the label, and then going back over it with some more Goo Gone, as well as cleaning it up with some spray cleaner. Now that it's all shiny and clean, I wanted to put a white base coat on so that the other paint that I brush on top will have something to adhere to. But unfortunately, I didn't think to sand over the surface of the metal first so that the white itself would have something to adhere to. So I ended up going over to the garbage can with sandpaper and sanding all the white off that I had just painted on. And then I did sand the whole piece again to kind of rough it up so that the paint adhered better. And I did end up using 2 coats of the white paint. Now the fun part was trying to figure out how to create a fake patina so that this piece could have the look of an antique or a time-worn piece, which can add character and uniqueness. So I gathered the different shades of green paints that I have, as well as brown, and I just began mixing them together until I had what I thought would be the right shade of patina. I started on the back of the piece so that I could experiment with what color combinations work best. And once I had the greens applied, I did end up going over some of the spots with brown to start creating the appearance of rust. After I dried the paint, I went over the brown paint with Mod Podge and then sprinkled cinnamon over the Mod Podge so that it would stick on. I then tapped off the excess cinnamon on a piece of paper so that I could use it again. I applied another light coat of Mod Podge over the cinnamon and dried it with the heat gun. And as I'm drying it, you can see that it's getting darker and starting to look very rusty. So I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. So I'm going to flip the piece over and do the same process to the front and the sides. As you can probably see, I'm not exactly painting it on, but kind of dappling the paint on so that it gives the piece a textured look. I'm using a little different technique on the front, as after I put the cinnamon on top of the Mod Podge, I tap over that with the brown paint, and then I'll put another light coat of Mod Podge on that, and then dry it. I don't really think there's a wrong way to do this. You just kind of need to play around with it to find out what works for you to create the patina that you're looking for. And rust came out. I ordered this rabbit online from Simon Says Stamp, which I'll put in the link in the description box. And this is from Tim Holtz' Ideology line, and it's called Salvaged Rabbits. I glued it on a popsicle stick so that it would be easier to paint. And I ended up painting several of these. I think I had bought 4 rabbits, and I'm going to use those for other spring projects that I'm currently working on. But this one in particular, I used Craft Smart's Antique Wax, drying it with my heat gun in between coats, and I ended up using 2 coats. And to take the rabbit off when it's all dry and I'm ready to use it, I just take the heat gun and put it like under the popsicle stick and kind of loosen up that hot glue, and then I just peel it off. I'm using gold foil candy wrappers that I picked up at either Michael's or Joann's, I really don't remember. And this is a technique I learned from Tim Holtz's YouTube channel, which you'll hear me talk a lot about Tim Holtz's line of products, as I use several of them in this project and other projects that I'm working on. Plus, I just love all his products, and there are so many creative makers using his products in very unique ways. But I'm spraying alcohol inks from Tim Holtz's line on these foil candy wrappers and spreading the ink around with my alcohol ink applicator tool, and then I will dry it with the heat gun. I then cut these foil wrappers into 1-inch squares, and I believe I did about 5 or 6 different colors. Actually, it looks like I did about 10 different colors. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to put some Mod Podge on the back and fold around these tiny Tim Holtz, they're called Tim Holtz Ideology Tiny Eggs, and it's going to create a foil covered egg. As you can see, this is a little bit of a tedious process, but it was fun to make these foil covered eggs. You can also use the alcohol ink to directly color the eggs. You can put them in a baggie and spray the ink in there and kind of smush it around, which I did do for another project. You can also use acrylic paints, kind of doing the same thing, putting in a baggie and smushing it around and making sure they're covered pretty good, and then go ahead and let them dry. So I'm using this piece of glass. It's from an old frame when I Mod Podge to the foil, so that my work surface stays clean. Plus it's easier to lift up the foil from the glass than it would be from my work surface. So like I said, I think I ended up wrapping about 20 of these eggs with the foil wrappers. Next, I'm using Sculpey air dry clay and my IOD mold. It's called Harper Alphabet Letters, to create the letters for the word spring. You want to make sure that you brush in some cornstarch into the mold before you smash the clay in, so that it's easier to release the clay. This was causing me a bit of a problem because it's sort of thin and curvy, so it took a couple of tries before I got a good release. The tool I'm using is from the Dollar Tree, and it's from Crafter's Square. It's a plastic pellet knife set. And the nice thing about these IOD molds is that they have a patented micro rim, which ensures a crisp, clean edge on your castings. So that's what the tool is used for. I just kind of pass it along and spread it down or smush it down, and then I can release it a lot easier. It took a little bit of searching, but I found inspiration on Pinterest for these carrots made from wood beads. I figured out what bead sizes I wanted to use, and then I put them in a baggie and squirted some orange paint inside to quickly paint them. I did end up going back over each one to make sure that they were fully covered with paint and that they looked smooth. And as you can see at the top of the screen there, I took a muffin tin and I put a bunch of things in there that I wanted to use for my spring projects. That way they're in front of me, they're kind of organized, and I can see what I need to work with. So I threaded some twine with a thicker needle that I had so that it would be easier to string the beads through. Plus the twine gives the carrot a more vintage and rusted look, and I ended up making 3 of these little carrots. To fill the inside of this vase, as they're calling it, I cut some old packing styrofoam that I had on hand and shoved it inside so that I could then place the embellishments that I wanted right on top of the styrofoam. I take a cotton ball and I hot glue some moss on it and place it in the barrel. Again, this is from Tim Holtz's Ideology line. And to give it a little bit more dimension and fluffiness, I'm going to go ahead and hot glue some more of this moss on top. I didn't want the white of the styrofoam to show through, so I painted that brown, and then I glue some Spanish moss on top of that. I go ahead and I pick out a few of the foil wrapped little eggs, and I'm going to use E6000 glue and glue them on top of the moss that's in the barrel, and then I glue the barrel onto the foam. And then I decide where I want to put the rabbit, and I just use the hot glue, and I will glue that next to the barrel. I'm using some E6000 glue, and I'm going to go ahead and glue these 3 carrots together. As you can see, I took the twine and kind of unraveled it on the top, so it looks like the, I guess like the grassy part of the carrots. So yeah, here I am just gluing them together, and then I will again use E6000 and glue them onto the front of the this wall piece. I picked up a package of these wooden flower cutouts from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to go ahead and stain them with the Craft Smart Antique Wax. I then use a flower wire to create stems and leaves for the wooden flowers, and I glue them to the back of the piece. Clay letters have been drying overnight, and so now I can paint them. And I want the colors to look vintage, so I mute the colors down with a little bit of brown paint, and after I dry them, I gently rough them up a little bit with sandpaper. I glued the letters on the front next to the carrot, and I wanted to add a little more to the piece, so I used a small block to glue together 2 wheelbarrow cutouts from the Dollar Tree. I stained them with the same stain I used on the wood flowers, and then add some moss to the top. A few more embellishments that I add is the small bottle with some lavender inside, and the Tim Holtz Ideology Heirloom Floral Embellishments. Everyone, today I'm going to show you how to make a few spring decor pieces to bring into your home. So I picked up a cloche at the Dollar Tree, and I'm painting the base with a couple of coats of white paint. I cracked off a couple of pieces of styrofoam so that I had a base to stick some flowers in, as well as a base for the rabbit so that it will be raised up a little bit. I chose some flowers from my stash, and then this one I added a little pearl to this to dress it up a little bit. So I go ahead and I put the flower into this base, and then I'm going to choose a few other flowers from my stash. So I want the base to look a little vintage and worn, so I added some white wax, even though it comes out yellow, and I'll wipe off the excess, and then I will dry it, and I will go over some areas with sandpaper to age it. I'm going to go ahead and glue on the flower base as well as the rabbit, so then I can glue in the Spanish moss. So I take this straw-like material, I'm not real sure what it is, but I kind of scrunch it up and then I stain it with thinned out brown paint. And I'll go ahead and I'll dry it and I'll shape it into a bird's nest, and then I'll glue it on the base and then add the eggs. These eggs are from the Tim Holtz Ideology line called Tiny Eggs, and I had colored them in alcohol ink, which is also by Tim Holtz. I did end up trimming some of the Spanish moss around the sides here because it was sticking out once I put the cloche top back on. I picked up this wooden tag at the Dollar Tree, and after I painted it white and I stamped it with the word hop, I decided I didn't like how it turned out, so I ended up sanding everything off and I just went with a whitewash look. I'm using the IOD letterpress stamp that I picked up at Sweet and Sassy Treasures. I'll put the link here in the description box. So I spell out the word hop, and I'm going to stamp it with black ink and then press it onto the tag. Now this rabbit I actually made with air dry clay using the packaging that the Tim Holtz salvaged rabbits came in. I picked up a couple of birdhouses at the Dollar Tree, and with this one I'm taking off the front so that I can put some embellishments inside. I'm going to clean it up a bit with the razor and with some sandpaper, and then I'm going to paint the whole thing white. For this bird's nest, I'm using Spanish moss with some Mod Podge added to keep it together. It's a little sticky to work with, but once it's dry, it will retain the shape that I want. I'm going through my flower stash again to pick out what I want to use, and then I'll go ahead and glue something inside the birdhouse as well as the outside. I decided to add a few buttons to give the birdhouse a little bit of character. I'll go ahead and glue the bird's nest inside as well as the speckled eggs. I dyed these with a blue paint, and then I did a little splatter on them with black paint to make it a speckled egg. I glue some more flowers on the outside, and then I also add a couple more buttons. For the base of this birdhouse, I'm going to paint a plastic wine glass that I picked up from the Dollar Tree. But then I do decide that it's kind of plain looking, so I end up gluing on this roping that I have on hand. So I use the hot glue and I'll glue the base on, as well as add a couple more buttons to the front. I'm painting these candlesticks black so that I can use them for the bases for the other birdhouses, but then I'm going to paint them white, and the reason for this is so that I can sand a little bit of the white away, and it will make the candlestick look vintage because the black from underneath will show through. So I'm going to use the same technique for the birdhouse, first painting them black and then white, and then using sandpaper to age them all. So here I am aging the candlesticks and the birdhouses with sandpaper. I picked up these wooden flowers on a fence from the Dollar Tree, and I had painted this one for another project, but I didn't use it, so I decided to add it to the side of this birdhouse. And then I'm going to go ahead and glue in some Spanish moss into the openings of the birdhouses to make them look kind of messy and like they're in use. And then I add the bird's nest with the speckled blue eggs, and then I'll glue the birdhouses to the candlesticks, and they're all done. I think these turned out so cute. I love the farmhouse vintage look and the techniques that I used to create this aged vintage effect I learned from other crafty YouTubers here. So I wanted to ask you, my audience, who are your favorite DIY and crafty YouTubers? Go ahead and give them the shout out in the comments below. I'd love to follow them and see what they're doing. Thanks for watching. This is Jeannie with Makers Unify, and have a DIY day. Hi everyone, it's Jeannie from Makers Unify. In today's quick video, I'm going to show you how I took this Dollar Tree planner and transformed it into a beautiful planner that I can use outside this summer. So I'm going to paint this planter with Rust-Oleum chalk paint in Serenity Blue, and I'm actually going to mix some baking soda with this so that I can give the planter some texture and make it look a little bit like cement. So I use about a cup of baking soda. You'd want to just put it in and then mix it up to get the consistency that you want. I am looking for something that's a little bit thicker and chunkier, like a cement mixture. So you just keep going till you get what you like, and then you just go ahead and start painting whatever you're painting. Of course, here I'm painting this planter, and I will go over this with a couple of coats to make sure that everything is covered up pretty good. Brush to paint this on, and here I'm going to get a little bit more depth and I guess, chunkiness so it looks like cement. So I'm dabbing on some more paint. So here I am using Sculpty clay, and I'm going to put it in the IOD mold. This one's called He Loves Me. Has a couple of sunflower molds and a leaf that I'm going to use. And the nice thing about IOD molds is that they have this patented lip that is easy to, as you can see, scrape off as you're spreading this out. Easy to create the casting, and they pop out very easily. And this handy tool that I'm using, you can actually pick up a package at the Dollar Tree. I think there's like 3 or 4 different sizes of things that you can use, little putty knives and stuff like that for your projects. So here I'm taking out the butterfly. This is in the IOD Monarch mold, and then this is the sunflower and the leaf. So here I'm just using Tite Bond glue. I'll go ahead and squirt some on and then use my paintbrush to smooth it out. Make sure you get the edges. And I like to put the castings on when the clay is still wet so that it can shape or mold, I guess, or dry, let's say that, dry to the shape of whatever I'm putting it on. Otherwise it would dry flat, and then it would be hard to totally mold around whatever you want it to adhere to. And so I'm going to take, there's 3 of them that I have, so I'm going to take them and use the same paint and baking soda mixture, and I'm going to create some more little planters with those, again using the IOD molds. This bird came from the bird song mold, and then again I'm using the He Loves Me mold and the Monarch mold, and then this one is the olive crest mold, and I'm going to put a little monarch butterfly in the middle of that one. As I want to go over the castings so that they have the same texture as the planters themselves. And here I'm using an antiquing wax, which I will actually go over all of the castings with. So I'm going to wax on and wax off. This one I actually forgot to put the baking soda mixture paint on it, so I just put the wax on, so it doesn't have the texture as the rest of the planter, but it turned out fine anyway. Just doesn't have that like cement-like look, I guess you could say. To give the planters a little bit more of a rustic feel, I go ahead and take this twine and I'm just wrapping it around the handle. Every once in a while I'll put a little dot of hot glue so that it stays and it won't slide off. And then I will just tie it on the end when I'm all done. And I'm not going to show you all of them, but I did end up wrapping all of the handles with this twine. For the larger planter, I decided I wanted to put a little bit of trim on the top and bottom with the twine, so I just cut a piece as long as I needed, and I'm just going to glue it around. So here they are all finished, and this is a fun and easy project that you could do for indoor or outdoor planters. Since I'm going to put these outside, I am going to spray them with a clear acrylic spray so that they can hopefully survive the summer elements. Again, this is Jeannie with Makers Unify. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure to subscribe and like and comment and all the good things to help me grow my channel. I really appreciate your support, and have an awesome DIY day. Hi everyone, it's Jeannie from Makers Unify, and today I'm going to show you how you can take a tin can and turn it into spring decor. You can do this with any size tin can that you want. This is probably considered a medium. It was a soup can, and obviously the top is cut out because you took the contents out, and then I cut out the bottom and just flatten it a little bit, flatten it more on the bottom, and I didn't want to totally close it up so that it could prop up when I stood it up. So here I'm taking the IOD mold trimmings 2, and I'm going to use this for the lip of the tin can to put a little bit more of a decorative, to create, I guess, more of a decorative look for it. I like these IOD molds because they have this patented lip on them that makes it easy for you to kind of smash it down, I guess, and create your castings. So I do go ahead and I make 2 of these so that I have enough to wrap around the can. I want to apologize for the I guess the screenshots here or the view here, as I was doing this on a Facebook Live, and I was also recording it, and I didn't totally have my project in the camera zone, I guess you would call it, and so some of it's cut off, and I apologize for that. And I will paint it on or brush it on, make sure that it's close to the edges so that it will stick well. And once you put this on, you do want to let it dry for probably an hour or so. And I do also like to put my castings on whatever project I'm working on. For the most part, I like to put them on when they are wet so that they can dry and adhere better to whatever project I am working on, because obviously if I dry this out flat on my surface, when I go to put it on the can, it's going to crack because I wouldn't be able to wrap it around the can. So I have 2 pieces, like I said, and I will cut off part of the second piece that obviously is going to make it too long. But I did leave some extra on it so that when I put it in to meet up the back seams, or the seams on the back, and you'll see that I kind of like try and squeeze it together, or gently smash it together. I don't know how else to say that, because what it this clay does dry, it does shrink up a tiny bit, especially when you're trying to put seams together. I didn't do a great job of it, but again, it's the back side of the can, so it's not a big deal, and I was able to cover it up pretty well. Trying to kind of smush the seams together without smashing it a bit too much. I think I take my tool in here a little bit and try and push it together just a little bit more so that it does, when it does dry, that it doesn't crack so much. So here I'm using the IOD Harper mold with the letters, and I'm spelling out the word spring. So again, using the Titebond glue, I'm going to go ahead and put this on and brush it on with the paintbrush just to make sure that all the edges are covered. So for painting the letters, I just grabbed my acrylic paint and I pulled out the colors that I wanted that were kind of more of a pastel color, which a lot of them are pretty, I guess, dark or vibrant. So I did go ahead and add some white to the different colors so that I could lighten it up and make it look a little bit more of a pastel color. And I do paint each letter a different color, and then I will go around on the trim, and first I painted the trim with the white or the same color as the can, and then I go for the flowers that are on the trim. The center of the flower, I do different colors to match the letters. So then I decided that I wanted to try a dry brush of the pink on the trim on the bottom. So I'm just going to go over this whole trim with the pink. And then, like I said earlier, I go over the center of each of the flowers and make it a different color. And here I'm taking the different colors that I used for the words or the letters, and I'm going to dry brush on the back and the front of the can just to give it a little bit more color. And then here I'm taking a white wax and I'm going to brush it on and wipe it off. This will help seal in the color a little better and give it a little bit more protection. So I had a couple of these styrofoam eggs, so I'm going to go ahead and paint 3 of them blue, and I'm going to use that for the decor inside of the can. So I have this flower foam, and I'm going to try and measure it out as best I can and cut it with my putty knife to fit inside of the can so that I can poke my flower arrangement through there, and then I will go ahead and put the eggs in there too. I left them on the toothpicks as I was painting them, so that came in handy. I'm also going to add this grass. I think it's called like a sisal grass. I'm not too sure. It's just a dry grass or kind of like strawy material to cover up the styrofoam, and then I will poke the 3 eggs through. I then cut out this piece of material from some fabric that I had and kind of frayed it up a bit to make it look old. If I would have thought ahead of time, I probably would have tea dyed it or coffee dyed it, but it worked out fine. I'm just going to tie it in a knot here, and then I'll glue the ends down. And then I'm going to grab a button from my button collection and put that in the center of my bow. So here's the final product, a cute and easy Easter spring decor that you can use for your home. And like I said, I left the bottom of the can open a little bit so then I could just set this on a shelf or anywhere where I want it to stand up. Again, this is Jeannie with Makers Unify. Thank you so much for watching, and have a DIY day. Hi everyone, it's Jeannie with Makers Unify, and today I'm going to show you how I take this old door that I picked up at the Habitat for Humanity store and turn it into some fun spring decor with a really cute fairy door on it. So right now I am using the Craft Smart Premium Crackle Medium, and I'm going to put this all over the, I'm going to do the first half first, and then I put the white chalk paint over it, and then I'll dry it and you can see it crackle. And I'm going to end up probably putting a couple of coats of the white on, just because I can see the brown on the bottom. I probably should have painted it white first and then put the crackle on, but I didn't. And as you'll see, there's going to be a couple of different colors going on this, because I really can't decide what I want to do. So now I'm just drying it, because you know me, I'm impatient, and you can see it starting to crackle, and it is showing the wood underneath, which is not really the look I was going for, but I do change that up, and I'll show you later what I do. So here I'm putting some cornstarch in the Hidden Hollow IOD mold, and I'm going to smash up some air dry clay and put it in there and smash it in, and get my handy dandy little tool and, you know, scrape off the excess and make my casting for the fairy door. Then after you scrape off the excess, you just pop out your mold, and there's the door. I do have to let it dry before I paint it. So these are the IOD Transfers Whispering Willow, and I cut out the ones that I want and you can see me tapping my fingers. I'm thinking of what I want to do, but I lay everything out that I want, and then I took a picture of it so that when I go to put them on, I know exactly where I want to put everything on. But I think while I was tapping my fingers, I wasn't really happy with the color, or the white. I wanted a little bit more color in it. So I'm going to mix together some greens and some blues, and kind of come up with like a foresty fairy forest garden kind of color. So here I am just mixing them together, and you'll see what I do next. So I grabbed the crackle medium again, and I am putting it out in some spots. I'm not doing the whole door right now. And then I take the green and put it over it, and let that dry to kind of see if that's what I want to do. So here I am putting on the green, and I will dry it, and then you will see it crackle, which is pretty cool. So as I'm looking at this, it's not really what I wanted again. So I mix up some more green. Of course, the color's not going to match. I put the crackle down first, and then I put the green over it again. And so it's kind of like obviously two different colors, as you can see here. And then I dry it, and you can watch it crackle, which is pretty cool. And I do have to apologize for my voice. I'm just getting over a virus, I guess it was considered. So I've kind of got a little bit of laryngitis, something going on. Anyway, so here I am drying it and determining if I like this, if this is kind of what I'm going for. And well, no, it really wasn't what I was going for. So I'm putting more crackle on and going over it in white paint. So this is what the final paint looks like. I'm done. I'm not going to put another coat of crackle on. I'm not going to put another coat of paint on. I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. So now that I have my transfers, figured out where I want them, I'm just going to peel them off, peel the backing off. And they're so easy to work with. You just put them where you want them, and you take the little scrapey tool that they give you, and you just scrape away. You have to put a lot of pressure. There's some elbow grease into this. You really got to, put some work into it to make sure that the transfers transfer. So I'm just going to go ahead and scrapey. And then as you go along, you can kind of tell when it's on there. Besides the color changing, the top part of the transfer will start to pop up. So then you kind of figure that that the transfer is transferred. So you just want to go slow, make sure you get all the pieces. If something's popping up, you just lay it down and scrape until the transfer is on the material that you are transferring to. And then I just take a little piece of this top of the transfer, and I rub it on. But I think actually I should probably use the white paper that's the backing, to be honest. But whatever, it turned out fine. So here I am putting on the mushrooms, And I'm also going to put on a bunny rabbit and some birds. Unfortunately, I should have pulled the camera up. I don't know why I didn't. I'm sorry. But, excuse me. It's because you can't see the whole board. But at the end, I do have a decent shot of the whole board. And it turns out really cute. So here I am putting on the bunny rabbit. And then, I honestly don't remember what I did next. I think I worked on the fairy door. So you're going to see that coming up in a minute. I painted it. It turned out really cute. So here I am painting the door. It's the next day and the door has dried. The air dry clay has dried. And I want it to be like a maroon color. And I actually did this on my YouTube live, and my friend Tim was on, and I'm like, Tim, how do I make maroon? Because I was thinking, like, I don't even know what I was thinking, what colors, but there were two colors that I would never have thought to put together to make a maroon. And I did end up adding a little bit of white to it to lighten it up. So here's the tedious process of going around every little nook and cranny in this door. But I really, really thought it turned out cute. And it did take some time, but it was worth it. It turned out really cute, so you'll see that in a little bit when it's finished. And this is the green for the ivy going up the side of the door. There's a lot on this side, and then there's a little bit on the other side. And then, of course, I did a brown. I think I lightened it up a little bit for the bricks. And then this part was a little tedious going through the brick, right behind the ivy there. So, but it gives it some depth and dimension, and it, like I said, it's a little tedious, but it turned out really cute. So now I'm taking some of this gold, I don't know, it's a cream. It's called Design Cream, or it's made by Folk Art Design Cream in gold. And I am bringing out some of the greenery and the vines in the door, and just making, highlighting it a little bit. And so that's the door. It turned out really cute. So now I'm going to take some E6000 glue and glue the door on so that it stays, because this is going to be a wall hanging. So you want to make sure that the door stays on pretty good. So I put a nice heaping helping of the E6000. And I'm going to put it on this log of the inlay that I put on, or the transfer, I'm sorry. And then grab a book, and I grab a water jug, and I leave that overnight so that it dries and I know it's not going to fall off. So then the next day I got these glass handles, drawer pulls, I guess, at an antique store. And they did come with the screws, which I'm going to put a little dollop of the gold cream on those. But I ended up having to, I thought they would screw in, but they didn't. And because I was going to screw them in and then, put the little nut on the back, but they didn't screw all the way in through the wood. So I just figured out just E6000. That's fine. So I did that, And so this is the finished product. This is going to be hanging on the wall, and it has the 3 drawer pulls or knobs on the bottom that I can hang things on. I could put some dried flowers or change the decor for whatever I want. Yeah, I really like how this turned out. A nice, cute little fairy garden. So this is Jeannie with Makers Unify. Thanks for watching, and have a DIY day.